Hi, on today's Ugly Agent podcast, we're going to talk about goal setting and how to be successful with your goals. So grab a notepad and sit back and get ready. Hi, I'm Rich Melton. I'm the host of the Ugly Agent podcast, and I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe with all your friends. If you're on the podcast, there's going to be some stuff in the show notes here that you can go in and look at. We'll have a whole breakdown of everything, including my personal goals and business goals for 2019, just kind of give you some ideas of how I do things. So the big one on this is setting your goal and how you do it. Now, I used to work for corporate America and a long time ago, and what I noticed, even in corporate America, we all had budgets and we had goals, and usually the goal would go something like this. I'd make a budget, and my budget was this month. Let's say it's $5 million, and they go, "What are your goals this year, Rich?" "I'm going to sell $5 million." Right. And they go, "Great, go do it." No expectation of how we're going to achieve that. Nothing. There was nothing. It was like you were just going to figure it out, I guess, or do whatever. But it never seemed like there was any real structure on, or nobody ever asked, at least for me, how we were going to achieve that. So when I became a sales manager and a national sales manager, I'd always ask my guys when they'd say, they'd throw out that magic number, and they're we're looking for the good pat on the back. And I'm like, well, that's great. How are we going to do that? So I'm going to give you some stuff that I did whenever I was working with other folks before I became a self-employed entrepreneur. And I've got some stuff for entrepreneurs as well as going over my goals at the end, so you guys can see exactly how I do it and how I keep myself accountable, because that's going to be the big thing. Is anybody can make a goal, you can throw out that number, but how are you going to do it, and how are you going to maintain it? How are you going to make sure that every day that goes by and every month that goes by, you are able to look back and say, yes, I did that, because if you do these things, you should be achieving your goal. If not, you need to change what you're doing to make that goal achievable. So we're going to go into business goals. Okay, so the number one thing, the first one's going to be for business, and this is going to be if you're working for someone else, and I'll have a little bit later how to do it for people who are self-employed. So you need to find out who the company you work for's top salesperson is. So this is usually when I'm working for a company or I'm going to work for a company. This is one of the first questions I ask. And it's really because I need to find out where that person is, what market they're in. It tells me a lot about what's going on with the company. If that person's in a major metro, like say in their Washington, D.C. area, I can ask questions like, well, are they selling, federal government or state government, or are they selling individuals or whatever, depending on what the product line is. It kind of makes a big difference, because if that person's selling to the federal government, they've obviously got a lot more money to spend than some of the other places. So needless to say, I'm going to find out who that person is, because once I go to work for that company, I'm going to ask for that person's contact information, and I'm going to reach out to them and basically say, hey, this I'm new, and I was wondering if you could kind of give me a breakdown of how you've become so successful. Because, and this is where you get to stroke their ego a little bit, let them feel good about what they've done, right? You're going to give them credit where credit's due. Hey, everybody said you're the person, you're the man, you're the woman, whatever it is. I need to learn from you. So that is a huge, huge thing, because if you can get those people to actually help you, you're miles ahead, because they're going to tell you what sells and what doesn't. They're also, now you got to take that with a grain of salt, because certain markets sell or buy different things. So just remember that. But they're going to give you a really good overview of the products you're selling. If you're not familiar with them, they're going to tell you how they go to market and how they compete against other things. So they may have a suggestion already on how they're going to go about selling against something you're fighting in your own market. So they are really an invaluable tool, as far as I'm concerned, on figuring out how you're going to win in your new job. So the number two thing is you're going to ask how they did it. You're going to just straight up say, look, I just need to know how you did it. How long have you been working for the company? And what was it that got you over the hump? And how did you get to this position, or at this point where you're the number one person in the company? You'll be surprised at what they tell you. Most people, and this is the chance for them to really brag on themselves. And a lot of people, especially salespeople, that's what we like to do. So you can, and here again, just like now, you should be writing notes whenever they're talking to them. Notes are big, because you're going to be able to go back later. If you just, talk to them and don't write any of it down, it's going to be problematic for you in the future. So we're going to, the other thing is you're going to ask this person if during the course of your employment, if you can bounce ideas off of them, because you may, obviously we're all unique in our industry and our markets. Certain things fly some places that don't fly in others, but you need to ask them if it's okay to call up with them and bounce ideas off of them. Ask them about if you can actually, if they can be kind of a mentor, just to where you can call them up randomly, maybe, once or twice a week as you're first starting, and then kind of get it out there. But if you're gonna use these folks and you're gonna ask them to be a mentor, you really need to respect their time and not ask them a bunch of stuff that's not really valuable information. So while it's great to have that person you call and maybe just chit chat a little bit every now and then, just make sure you respect their time and make sure that anything you're asking them does actually have some value to you. So the other thing you can do is find out who helped them, because they may have a manager in their region or wherever they're from that actually helped them and provided them with some great resources. That manager may be a person. Now, again, corporate America and even corporate Canada, who I worked for a while, don't like it if your regional manager finds out you talk to another regional manager. So kind of figure out where that plays in. It's sometimes easier just to talk to a peer than another manager, because you don't want them getting involved in the middle of stuff. Those things are really going to be how you're going to get a jump start on how you're going to figure out how to be successful in that job or in that position. So now, if you're self-employed, it's a little bit different. So you're going to have to, it takes a little bit more work, but it is still possible. And setting up your goals as a self-employed individual, I think, is crucial, because without goals, and especially if you're working for somebody else, they'll always tell you what you need to do. But if you're self-employed, let's be honest, you can not show up for whatever, you can do whatever you want, and who's going to tell you? Typically, your wallet tells you when it gets empty that you need to go do something, and that's never a good position to be in. So what you want to do as a self-employed person, you basically got to run the numbers in reverse, right? So you got to figure out what you need to make in a calendar year to survive. So let's say it's $60,000. And this is good to know, even if, just so you don't go broke while you're enjoying your self-employment. So $60,000 a year, you need to make at least $5,000 a month. So, yeah, okay, that's great. But how many widgets, whatever your widget is, do you need to sell to make $5,000 a month? That is the real key. So you need to work that number out in reverse and figure out, okay, to make $5,000 profit, what do I need to make? Now, you also need to figure out how much your employment taxes and all your other expenses are and work that number out too. So if it's $5,000 a month for salary and then another $2,000 a month for insurance and taxes and everything else, that'd be really cheap. Plus you got all your expenses on your rent, on the, if you got anything else you're needing to pay out of that money. Now we're up to $10,000, right? So you've got to sell X amount of widgets to get to $10,000 a month just to cover your overhead and your salary. And I'm going to tell you, as a self-employed person, it's very difficult to jump out of the gate and get a job that's paying $10,000 a month. So don't kid yourself. Self-employment's hard. You have to work a lot, but it does benefit you in other ways. So now we're back to if you figure all that out, right? So let's say let's say you got to make $120,000. You got to sell that much to make that $60,000. We're just going to keep it easy for numbers' sake here. My recommendation to you is you double that goal, right? I can tell you that a lot of times, if I have a goal out there and it's a little achievable, but I can strive and get it real easily, I tend to find myself not pushing too hard until I absolutely have to, because I go, well, I can probably get that done in a couple of months, and more than likely you can. But if I take that 120 and I double it and I say, look, I'm going to get 240, I got to go make a bunch of phone calls. I got to do everything, because now I've got 240. I got to figure out how much I need to sell every month to get that 240. And it really keeps the pressure on me, because as a salesperson and a self-employed person, I'm looking at these numbers. I have a vision board, which we'll talk about in a second, that I have all that broken down on. So I know I need to achieve a certain amount a month to meet my goal. And if I don't make it that 1 month, guess what? It's going to double or triple as I start going into the year. And at some point, I'm going to have to really look at this honestly and say, hey, maybe the self-employment thing's not for me. I should have probably kept my other job and done this part-time or whatever, because it is difficult to get those kind of numbers right out of the gate. So if you work for a franchise company, if you got a Planet Sub or McDonald's or something else like that, Culver's, one of those kind of chains, a franchise, they're going to actually have some pretty good breakdowns for you of what your potential should be in any market. So I would ask those folks for that, and they'll usually have a spreadsheet of some kind saying, if you achieve this much volume, here's your numbers, and it'll break it down for you very nicely. But I definitely, if you do a franchise, I would definitely talk to multiple franchise owners to make sure those numbers are realistic, because I know a lot of them will tell you that, oh yeah, you can do this, and this is what our average do, and then you go talk to the franchise owner who got sold that same bill of goods and find out that that was their one location that, you know, was right next to everything, and that was the only thing around, and that's why it did so well, and that's why they use those numbers. So always double check when you're dealing with a franchise on their numbers. And multiple franchisees is definitely the best way to go. So, and like I said, whatever your number is, just double it. That way you always have that pressure. And trust me, if you're self-employed, you're going to be under pressure. So you might as well do it for the right reasons. You might as well have, me personally, I'd much rather have more sales coming in and know that I'm going to achieve that goal, because if I can stay ahead of my goal month by month, and then I have one slow month, it's, hey, I'm okay because I'm still ahead. So now make a vision board, and I don't care if you're self-employed or you work for somebody else, a vision board and a goal board, kind of it's whatever you want to call it, are crucial. And I never used to do this, but it has truly increased my sales and my ability to get my goals accomplished. And what it is, you know, it's different for everybody. My personal thing, I use a 4-foot by 8-foot board that it's a dry erase board. And that's what I couldn't think of it there. And I basically write out my goals across the board so I can say, you know, here's what I'm doing, here's what the goals are. And every day I look at those, and every day I'm reminded that I need to do that, you know, and that's a huge key. I've got magnets. I can put magnets up there. I can do whatever I need to do. And magnets, what I use those for is if I want to, like, I visualize. I do a lot of visualization because you have to. It's powerful. And so I'll visualize $20,000 in my hand, $10,000 in each hand. Well, I can take that vision board and I can print out a picture of $20,000. And you're thinking, where can I get a picture like that? Just go online. You know, if you have really good relationships with your bank, trust me, you can walk into the bank and say, look, I'm doing a vision board. I need to see what $20,000 looks like so I can visualize it. And they're like, you know, what are you talking about? And you kind of tell them about this, how you heard about this. You take a picture of it, or have them take a picture of it with their phone, $20,000 stack of bills, say, I'm going to make that in a month. You've got that vision in your mind, and you plant that seed, it will happen. It is going to happen. This is the way you convince yourself, you convince the universe, if that's what you want to call it, that you're going to make that money. And you're standing there looking at it. Everything that's on that vision board, as I go through the year, sometimes I change it, sometimes I leave it the same. And a lot of times if I have what I think is a really good idea, but it didn't work out, I just leave it on the vision board. I leave it on my sheet that I make, and I'm thinking, well, maybe it's just a little bit ahead of its time, and maybe I'll reevaluate it and see if it works for next year. So that's kind of really, for the basics on the vision board stuff, what's a huge benefit for everybody. So I tell you what, we got to take a little break here and get a word from our sponsors real quick. So let me get that ready. And I want you to start thinking about your vision board while I'm getting this ready. What are you going to put on there? What are your goals going to be? Because when I come back, we're going to talk about that. I want to talk to you for a second about concealed carry holsters, specifically the Cover 6 Gear single point swivel system. It is the most versatile holster on the planet. The single belt clip rotates and allows you to wear this holster anywhere on your body you can reach. Left or right-handed, they have models for over 170 different weapons, all handmade by an Amish family in Kansas. You can bet that when you get your Cover 6 Gear single point swivel system holster that you're going to love it. Be sure to go to cover6gear.com, put in the code UGLYAGENTS at checkout. You'll get 10% off your order. It's the most comfortable holster you'll ever wear. If you or someone you know is looking for a good realtor in the Kansas City area, go to richsellsforyou.com. That's Rich Sells, the number 4, and then YOU.com. You'll see I'm not your average agent. Videos, walkthrough presentations of every house, lots and lots of pictures. Whether you're looking for a listing agent or a buyer's agent in Kansas City or the surrounding areas, the safe bet is to go to richsellsforyou.com. When it comes to realtors, there's a new standard for excellence. All right, welcome back, and thanks for, if you guys get a chance, always check out our sponsors. They do a great job and allow us to put this out without any interruptions on YouTube or whatever. A couple 60-second commercials, you know, it makes it worth it. So anyway, oh yeah, be sure to like and share and subscribe and all that fun stuff too. I don't mention that near enough. So back to work. So visualization for me and my goals is huge. If I spend, you know, a couple of minutes every day visualizing specifically one target that I'm really wanting to get at, and it's typically something different every day, because when you're doing that, you're convincing yourself that it's going to happen. And some of the things is like when I do my goals, I'm going to make 10 phone calls a day. You know what? You got to visualize yourself getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you know getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning. Sorry. I get up at 4:30. 8 o'clock is when I'm in the office. So at 8 o'clock, I'm visualizing getting in here and going through and getting my phone call list ready and what I'm going to say to people and how I'm going to talk to them. And when I'm calling them, you know, there are some people I'm calling about a listing or whatever else. But, you know, a lot of the people I'm talking to are just friends, people I know, acquaintances, and I'm just calling them up, just randomly touching them. There's probably, you know, 3 or 4 a day that I do that with, and people I haven't talked to in 6 or 8 months. And I'm just seeing what's going on. There really isn't an ulterior motive. It's just I want to stay in contact with them. And why is that? Because whenever they need something, I'm gonna be the guy that they contact. And that's really kind of my niche. It's been my niche forever. I know a lot of people. And so when someone has a problem, they call me and say, who do I know that I can, you know, put them in contact with? Well, how do I maintain those contacts? By making sure that I call these people. And guess what happens? And because I'm visualizing calling them and I'm, you know, making that happen, whenever people do call me for something, I tend to have those people, and they're very familiar with me, and they realize that I'm sending them business. So guess what they do in return? Send me business. This is a big thing, and it's a very easy way to make sure you're successful in doing stuff. So now that we've got our goals set up, we got to have a plan to increase our sales, no matter if we're self-employed or if we're working for somebody else. So what is our plan and how we're going to get there is like the where, when, how, and why. So where are we going to find these clients? When are we going to get to talk to them? Or, you know, and then how are we going to help them solve their problems? And then why are they going to buy from us and not somebody else? These are all key things that you need to know before you call somebody. Before you meet somebody on the street, why are they going to deal with you over somebody else? Why are they going to, you know, what are they going to need? How are they going to need it? And where do they need it? And all these questions have to be pre-answered by you, and they're spelled out on your goal sheet. So you're going to see here in a second when we go through mine and it's very detailed on what I'm going to get out of everything on my goal sheet. So 2, you're going to look back at last year's goals and compare. And if you don't have any goals, and say you're watching this and it's July, don't wait till next year. Get some now. Go ahead and start from the end of, like, hey, we're going to start today. We're going to set up some goals, because what'll happen is by the time you get to October next year, and then in the first part of November, which by the way is when you start formulating your new goals for the next year. I don't wait until January to get that done. I'm doing those in November, because I know what's worked and what hasn't. And from November to December and into the very beginning of January, I now have time to work on all those goals, to refine them and make sure that I know exactly what I'm doing. So we're going to look at when we refine those, what worked last year, what didn't, and what can you modify to work? Because you might have a pretty good idea, but it needs to be modified in some way. And how do you know that if you're not going over it? You might have the best idea on there. It just needs a little bit of a shift to the left or the right, and it's going to work good for you. So and that's what I do all year long. I modify these goals when I look at them, and trust me, if there's something that's like, I'll show you here in a little bit, something that doesn't work, we just kick it out and try to pretend it didn't work, or that we didn't do it. But, you know, don't waste a lot of time on it if it doesn't work. So now the big one here on this number 3 is, you know, look and see who your best clients are. and you're going to find out how they can help you. And who do they know in other markets? And can they introduce you to others? And can your existing clients expand your offerings, i.e. bring more inventory or introduce you to new customers? And those things are all kind of tied together. But I mean, who are your best clients? You should know that already. You should know your top 5 and your top 6. If you're in real estate, obviously it's going to be the last probably 5 you had, but there's going to be ones that continually send you clients, even though you haven't sold them a house in years. So when you're an ugly agent like me, I mean, I'm taking every advantage I can get, because look, when you're this ugly, it can be hard. You know, I'm a big ugly guy, and when I first go to meet people, a lot of times they're scared. So I have to be overly friendly and kind of overcompensate for that. You beautiful people, you don't even know what it's like. You know, you can go walk into a room and everybody just, oh, look, that's such a cute person. I don't get that. So I got to work hard. I got to overcome that. And that's where a lot of this comes from. So, but you know, your existing clients, they are your best source of information. Who are your best ones? Contact them, find out what they do, find out what they liked about you and what they didn't like. They probably already know, but if you haven't asked them, you know, you might as well. You go, hey, look, what in your mind, you know, you tell them you're doing this experiment. What separates me from everybody else? I just like to know. You know, from your perspective, what is it that makes me different? And they'll tell you. They'll tell you, because they'll tell you what they liked about you. And it's a whole lot easier to find that out and continue to use that for other people. And find out how they can help you. It's very easy. They all have contacts. They have friends. They have family. They have whatever who need that. Or they have business associates. Say it's not in real estate. Say like I used to sell lumber and building materials and everything else. Those people know the other people who are selling those. Now, some of them are going to be competitors in some markets, but I covered a pretty big area where they weren't competing with other people. And I'd say, hey, look, who can you put me in contact with that I can talk to, who you know in another market that's not competing with you, that, you know, I can give this excellent service just like I give you to them. They love nothing more than to tell their friend, hey, I've got the perfect guy for you. He takes care of you. He does everything. He's the guy. I mean, I call him on Saturdays. He answered the phone at Disney World. Yes, I've done that. And people want to share those experiences with their peers, right? So, and then you can do the introduction thing. They can introduce you to their friends. And how can your existing clients, you know, help you expand your offerings or bring in more inventory? So there's always a chance that there's going to need something else, and maybe it's a product you don't currently have, but I like to tell everybody if they need something that they can call me, and I pretty much know who sells it. That was kind of my niche for when I sold building materials. Even if I didn't sell it, they would call me and find out, you know, who sold that, who they could call for it. Well, if it wasn't me, and I'd tell them, hey, you know, this is the person you can call, and this person has it, and they were just shocked that I would do that. The thing is that, you know, what they didn't see that I did was that I'm actually, it benefits me to help them, right? Because if they're calling me all the time to try to find out who's selling what, one, it gives me a chance to show them that I am the person to go to when it comes to finding something in the market. And two, if somebody's not selling something and they call me and say, yeah, we're really looking for this, we got a project that's spec'd it out, and, you know, there's $100,000 worth of it that needs to be bought, we're probably looking at bringing that in. I can tell you that right now. If I can go to my boss and say, hey, look, we got a sale for $100,000 waiting on the table, it makes it pretty easy to bring in that inventory, even if it's just enough for that one job. So I love nothing more than being everything to all people when they're needing something. So the other thing is those people can tell you who else might need your product or service. If they're already happy with your service and your product, and you go, you know, who else do you know? And maybe it's not even somebody in your industry. You would not believe how many products go a different industry. And like if, you know, building materials, a lot get used in, you know, aircraft construction or something. Another company I used to work for, one of the sales guys got in big with Caterpillar, right? And we were selling building materials. Now, what does Caterpillar need with building materials? Well, they ship giant things all over the world, parts, engines. So guess what? They're building crates. They're building everything. And it all needs lumber and sheeting. This guy never left the office. He sold stuff to Caterpillar all day long. That's all he did. That was his only client. They bought more stuff than every other lumberyard around because he got that one account. Now, I personally wouldn't want to just have one account, but that's his deal. But the guy did a tremendous volume of product because Caterpillar's buying stuff, packaging up, shipping it all over the world. Now, outside of the box thinking like that, somebody had to call somebody and go, hey, who do you know who can get this? And that's how that guy got the phone call. So you need to be thinking about that. So that's a big thing. Now I'm going to stop here real quick. I'm going to go ahead and we got another commercial break here and get us something to drink, and I will be right back with you. So give me 1 second here. Are you ready to lose dangerous, unwanted weight, drop inches, and melt away fat fast without dieting? My friend Brio Guerra has a clinically proven system that will have you losing that muffin top, aging backwards, shredding pounds, and gaining lean muscle, all naturally. At less than $3 a meal, you deserve this kind of health and simplicity in your life. In 30 days, you'll get your health back or your money back. They guarantee results. So contact Brio Guerra right now at 816-520-8102. Tell her you heard this on the Ugly Agent podcast for a free health and coaching consultation. Don't forget to ask about their generous referral program. Make money while you lose weight. That sounds like a great plan for 2019. Chris and Jennifer with The Perfect Spot For You are my personal photographers on all my listings. You can go to theperfectspotforyou.com and check out their work. I highly recommend these folks. For my entrepreneurial photographers out there, they do have a franchise option that you can look into. They'll get you set up, squared away, and get you on track in no time at all. They've even taken all the Ugly Agent podcast photos. Give them a call. Get something set up today. 913-201-2229. Tell them the Ugly Agent sent you. All right, welcome back. So if you get a chance here, I want you to, I've got a link in the description and the show notes, and it's going to be my, it's going to be called Business Goals 2019. It's a PDF, and you can look at this with me. I'm going to look at it on here, and I'll go down it, but I kind of want to give you an idea of how I set up my business goals and my personal goals. They're all on the same page because as a self-employed person, in my mind, they're going to be the same. They're going to be, there's a lot that tie into each other. And I'm going to tell you that I'm an agent for Crown Realty, and every year we have a goal setting event, and 2 years in a row now I've won the contest, won $500 for turning in goals like this because they're specific, they're spelled out. This is how you win. You cannot go out and just say $2 million and how are you going to do it? And to kind of give you an idea, my first year in real estate, and I didn't do anything but follow the goals. I should put my other goals on there from last year to kind of show you. I followed this sheet. I went down the sheet and every day was like, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? In 2018, I'm going to close $3 million, my first year ever. And that was, I didn't have a sale until the end of April 2018. So, and during all that, I have my other business too, which I'm doing. I'm a stay-at-home dad, pretty much full-time. I drop the kids off, pick them up, do all that fun stuff. And I'm on the city council. Plus, I got audited last year. So, I had months of stuff, everything else in the world going on. And yeah, I'm a workaholic, but I was still able to manage to sell $3 million in my first year real estate. And let me just tell you, it wasn't because I got on Facebook and, begged all my friends to, hey, look, let me list your house or done that. I didn't do any of that. All I did was present an opportunity for people to enjoy what I was doing. And so this is part of the goals is, I would subtly tell people this is what's going on, and they enjoyed living vicariously through me because not everybody can do the kind of stuff that I can do or you can do. So, it's no different than some other, reality show or whatever. I just live it for them and they enjoy it. Now, the funny thing is people like to be around successful people. So as I started getting listings and I did it just by getting listings primarily, I had goals to get, and how I got my goals last year, before we go into this, is the top agent in this company. She ended up getting she had almost, I think we figured out it was over 150 listings or something like that. It was just incredible. She just did a volume that you just can't even believe, but she's been doing it about 30 years and she's just awesome. She tears it up. So who doesn't want to be like her? Right away, when I found out kind of what she did, I said, her goals are my goals. I am going to do what she did, right? And so, of course, everybody's like, there's just no way you shouldn't do that. Too much pressure. And I'm like, no. So I figured out roughly how many listings she had, and I broke it down by month. And I said, I need to have this many listings every month to achieve that kind of sales volume, right? So And I had it, I mean, and so like my broker's looking at this going, well, how did you decide which months were more? Because, you know, instead of putting 12, 10, 10, 5, 5, whatever, they jumped all over, and it was basically how I live my life, how I know things work with school and with kids and when we're busy and when we're not. And so in the springtime there was more, in the summer there was less, in the fall there was more. And so while I didn't achieve that goal specifically, because as a new agent, I didn't know really how it worked with listing and buying agents and all that stuff. All I knew is I needed to touch that many people to make that happen. So here I am at the end of the year. I'm, you know, closing on $3 million, hopefully a couple days after Christmas. And it'll be 3.1 million. Now, I know in some of you guys in California and some of these other places are like $3 million. That's like one sale. My average sale, both commercial and residential, averages less than 200,000. So that's a lot of work for less than 200,000. In fact, the biggest sale I had 2 sales this year at 295,000. Ironically enough, I never did get a sale where I had somebody listed their house. So I was the listing agent, and then they went and bought another house. Every one of these was somebody was either I was a buyer's agent for them, found them somehow, or I listed their house and they moved. So you think about that. I didn't get both sides of anything, and I still got almost $3 million. So, so anyway, but this is how you do that. So this is my business goals for 2019. You know, top goal is I will prioritize my tasks each day and focus only on those that achieve my top 3 to 5 goals this year. That's a key, because you only have so many hours in a day. And you'll see when we go down this list, I focus on how I'm going to be successful. And I put in there even times on how much time I can expect to put on that task. And I've got to pick which ones are the important ones. So anyway, here's the first one. And this is such a key. I don't care what industry you're in or what job you're doing. You got to make at least 10 sales calls a day, because you got to keep your pipeline full, man. There is just no way you're going to not, I mean, there's no way you're going to be successful without just burning up your phone. Your phone, you should be using 4,000 to 5,000 minutes a month if you're going to be successful. And I'm not just talking about talking to your friends either. You better be talking to friends, clients, whoever, everybody. And you can talk to your buddies, don't get me wrong, but it can't be all about, you know, oh, we're just bullshitting. Sorry for the language, but it's got to be, you're talking about business. There's going to be something business related in that phone call. If nothing else, just to reach out to remind them that you're there and who do they know that needs help. So my goal is I'm going to get to the office at 8 a.m. I'm going to get the computer up and start making a list. B, I'm using Facebook to send or get names. I'm going to ask friends who they can put me in touch with, who I might be able to help, right? Because that's really what I'm here to do. I'm here to help people. I need your help to help people. Who can I help that you know? So, and every person you meet knows somebody who needs your services. You need to be a person they think of when people ask. So how do I do that? Well, like I told you earlier, I use Facebook fairly effectively for that. I post a lot of stuff. I do a lot of different things. I'm a lot of fun on there, and I don't really care what people say. I enjoy humor, so I post a lot of funny stuff, nothing derogatory or nasty, just funny. And then in fact, I had a little incident where I caught myself on fire this year, my face, so it really didn't hurt anything. Actually, when I did it, I was on fire for, I don't know, a couple seconds, 30 seconds tops, but did tone up the skin, tighten it up, good exfoliation. So, but even still, I did that. I still had fun with it. I posted some pictures and I kept people up to date, and you would not believe how many people were genuinely interested in what was going on and how I was handling it. And while it was an accident, and it really, I don't know, I thought it kind of tightened up the skin around my neck too. So it's like kind of a cheap, it was kind of a cheap facelift. It did, I don't have a problem posting that, because I know that there's those people out there who, they live vicariously through me. So a lot of people would be afraid to put that out there for the embarrassment factor or whatever. You know what? I really don't care. I'm here to have a good time. And hopefully somebody learns from my mistake, because it was a dumb mistake. I'll admit it. I kind of wish I had the camera rolling in, because it would have been pretty good video. So, but I'm going to use the Facebook and do all that stuff, and kind of use that. And so, I'm going to make videos that get engagement and show I'm an expert, right? here we are. I'm the expert on catching myself on fire. Don't try it at home, kids. So find and post articles that are relevant. I mean, that's a pretty easy thing. There's tons of people out there. Just make sure that when you're posting something, it is actually good information. There's a lot of bad information out there. So it really behooves you, if you're going to post something that says, you know, mix X and Y and paint the walls, that it doesn't rip the paint off the wall. So, and I'm going to read more books and transfer that information into action. You know, I never been a big reader, but since I got the Miracle Morning and started meditating, it might be hard to believe, but I've actually calmed down a little bit. This is not normal me. I would normally not be able to stand in front of the camera for this long and talk because my mind would race. Even though I'd have notes and everything else, it would. The meditations really helped me a lot. So it's helped me actually read books instead of just listening to them. So my number 2 goal is I'm going to be a list or a buyer's agent for 10 listings or buyers per month. That's a pretty big task. And you know how I'm going to do that? I got to call a hell of a lot of people. I mean, I've got to burn the phone up. I've got to have friends and everybody else who, when they go, man, we're thinking about selling our house, guess who's got to be at the top of the list of all the agents that they know? It's got to be me. And why is that? How? Because they know I'm separating myself. Because if you're a Facebook friend of mine, guess what you're seeing? Every house I go to and we do a listing on, I have a video where I walk through and I narrate what's going on in the house. I also have professional photographers come out, you know, The Perfect Spot. Those guys, Chris and Jennifer, do fantastic on my pictures. And I couldn't, you know, I used to do my own, but man, when those guys take those pictures, they just look so great. And you know what? I mean, yeah, it costs me a little bit more, but the value is for the customer seeing what they're doing. And, you know, typically if I do some commercial stuff, and the commercial stuff I don't have to have them do. People aren't really, they don't care about it so much on that end. But on the residential stuff, we're painting the walls, getting the house cleaned up, making it a 10. So when it's ready to list, it's looking sharp. Guess what? If they're going to spend all that time and money to get that house looking like a 10, my photographer is going to make it look like a 10 before people even get there. And then you tie that in with the video that I'm walking around showing everybody. They got no reason not to come and show up at that house. So anyway, I'm going to achieve be the listing or buyer agent by getting engagement from friends and family, and I need to start sending out stuff on my CRM. I'm really bad about that. I've never really been a big fan of the CRM stuff. To be honest with you, when I was in corporate America, I saw CRM and what it was really used for when I was there, and that's like Salesforce and some of that stuff was really, the idea behind it was a solid idea, that it was there to benefit you so you could remember about your clients and what you talked about. The companies I work for was really just a monitoring system to find out if I was doing my job. And what I found out is that the people above me, you know, typically would get lazy about it and not pay attention to what's going on. They're so busy with all the things that they're tasked to do, they never had a chance to look at it. So I actually went to work for one company, and you'll love this. So I'm like printed out all the stuff from there. It was a we called it the TPS report, but it was an ASR report. And yeah, so anyway, so I go get my ASR and I run out and I read up on this client. You know, I'm getting ready to do this big presentation, called and got a phone call with him or got a meeting with him on a phone call. And so I get there in person and I'm like, hey, so I heard that, you know, this person, the guy who was working here before me had talked to you. You got this big project rolling and you know, just trying to figure out what's going on and how I can be a part of that. And of course they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, you know, right here it says you got this big project. And he's like, I don't even know. I never even met that person. Right? What? You never met the guy who I replaced? Kind of makes you wonder why he got replaced, right? But it got worse because I'm looking at this ASR. I said, okay, at that point I just threw it over, said, let's start from scratch. So reintroduced myself. I'm Rich. I know nothing about your business. Please let me know what's going on. And that kind of, he got a good quick laugh out of it. And we started a relationship that actually worked out. And I put in the right things in the ASR about how none of this stuff was true. And I'm going to have to go to all these clients and figure out what is actually going on so that we actually know what is really true. And come to find out, a previous guy for the last, 2-3 years he knew that he had to put in 5 things a day. So he just put in 5 things. And since nobody in management ever called to find out if any of that stuff was true, they were just happy that hey man, his ASR reports, that guy's on time. He does it all the time. He is on it. Why would they ever call and check on him? and they never did. And so all of a sudden, I've got 3 years worth of nothing. So, in fact, several of the accounts, he didn't even have the right names. So that's what I see. That CRM for me has always been a real problem. So on mine, I've got it set up, and I've got the, I think I use, what's it called? Less Annoying CRM. Pretty good, $10 a month. I highly recommend you check it out. But if you need something and you're a private individual, but it's still, you know, for me, I memorize a lot of that stuff. But I still need to send out cards and letters to people. I'm really bad about that. I'm trying to so that's why this year on my goals, it's really one of my bigger focuses to get that done and start sending out stuff on a just kind of a regular basis, especially with emails. So that was number 3, set up cards and letters and doing my CRM and mailings and, you know, and so I've got a plan for some 9-volt battery stuff, top secret stuff. So I'll tell you about how that goes later on. And then I've got some flash drive dock stuff that is top secret too. So sorry, you'll have to just wait until I announce that later so you can see what's going on, because it's going to be one of those things you're going to want to copy, but we'll just wait and let me roll it out first. So I was just going to, number 4 here, set up my podcast. I'm going to find the music, do all that other stuff, post it everywhere, set up an Amazon affiliate account. I mean, use Fiverr.com. If you never use that, it's an awesome site. You go in there and whatever you need done, somebody on Fiverr will do it, and they'll do it for a pretty good price. I have learned, and this is a quick tip for you guys who are self-employed or looking to be one, self-employed person. You've only got so many hours in the day. And I don't like to spend money on a lot of stuff, but you know what? You're going to have to. You're going to have to break down and pay other people to do stuff, because if I sit around, I use Fiverr.com to put in for one of my other businesses. I had about, 2,000 email addresses and contact information, and I had to use Fiverr.com to have somebody put that all into a spreadsheet because it wasn't in there. They did it for like $200. I mean, I tried to do it one day, and it took me, between all the phone calls and everything else, I think I got 30 people in the spreadsheet, and probably wasn't even correct. That guy turned it around in 2 days for $200. 2,000 people. So you tell me, was it worth $200? Hell yeah. I was so happy to send that guy money. I was like, this is a miracle. It's a Christmas miracle. When you get that kind of, and I was able to send out an email blast, and I'd never done one before, because I was short-sighted on what I should be doing. And so I have to remind myself sometimes my job as the CEO is to do the things, and if that are need to be done, that are the priority, I have other people to do those other things. So anyway, you can see here I've got my ads. You know, I'm going to have my record 10 shows in a row and put them on, and they're going to be all launched at the same time. So that's what we're doing today. I've got a couple down already. We're just going to go ahead. So right before Christmas, we're going to launch all these. It's going to be great. And because I understand over the holidays, people get bored, and they get bored of their family, and they need something to do. So, by the way, if you are so inclined, you're having a good time, be sure to like and share and subscribe. Share it with friends. Click the likes. Just go out and talk to our sponsors and do whatever. But we appreciate everything you do for us, and we appreciate all our sponsors. So anyway, the number 5, I'm going to hire an assistant, because I've got enough stuff to do that I can pawn off, I don't know, about 8 to 10 hours a day, and then I might be able to sleep more than 6 hours at a time. So that would be ideal for me, get me a little bit more family time. And here again, it's the things that, I can pay somebody $8 to $10 to $12 an hour. They are more efficient at doing some of those things than I ever will be. So that's a big one. So number 6 is to call or send a personal message to 2 people every day. Let them know I'm there to serve them, and ask how I can do that. And the way I'm going to do that, and that's what all these things are underneath, is how I'm going to achieve this goal is I'm just going to pick up the phone and send a message on Facebook and reach out in any way possible. In fact, one of the things I started doing, and I highly recommend you do this too, I actually either call or send people a message, and I basically call them and say, hey, look, I started this when I did my Miracle Morning. When I started it, I just decided that I was going to start calling people every day, and I pick 2 people, and I call them up, and I say, hey, I'm doing this thing, the Miracle Morning. And I've been doing it for a while now. It's been, since September, I think, right after I caught myself on fire. So, and I usually call them and I just say, hey, look, I just want to let you know I started doing this. And one of my things is I'm going to try to make somebody's life, couple people's lives better every day. So you know what? Today is your day. So I just wanted to call you and let you know that I appreciate everything you have done for me in the past and everything you're going to do for me in the future. And I really mean that. And I just wanted to say your friendship means a lot to me. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to call me. And I mean, I tell them this, and people are just like, why are you doing this? And I go, I just thought you should know. I really appreciate everything you've done and are going to do for me. And I said, I have no ulterior motive. I'm really just here to honestly let you know this. And I want to say thank you. And I said, I really think we all should do that a little bit more often and let people know really how we feel and that we appreciate everything those people have done for us. And you know, one, people are really caught off guard, but two, they really appreciate that because who else is doing that? Nobody. And it's not that I'm asking them for anything, and they realize that I actually mean it. And I hope that I tell them, hey, look, you should go and probably do this to a handful of people yourselves. It'll change the way you interact with people, because if you have that mentality in your heart, people see it, they know it, and they know it's real. So you do that to 2 people a day. Think about that. Think about that. If you do that to just 2 people a day, I give you a couple of days off for weekends and everything, but you're talking about you can improve 700 people in a year. 700 people's day can be brightened by you. What does that do for the entire world? And you get 1% of those to turn around and do it for another 700 people, and then I'd do it again and do it again. You know, you can make a huge difference in the world in just a handful of years in a lot of people's lives, because you never know what somebody's going through. That the day that maybe that person pops in your brain, maybe they're having a really rough day, and you just decide to tell them that, and it turns their whole day around. So just think about that. I can't tell you how much it means for me to do it, and I hope someday I get to do it to you. So now number 7 is I'm going to sell $18 million in real estate in 2019. So I know that probably sounds ridiculous, but you can see how I've got a step-by-step process of how that's going to happen right here. So, and sorry if you're listening online, just download that and you'll see, you can look at it later, but that's about $324,000 in commissions. So this year at the end, I'll do about $3 million. I'm going to do $18 million next year. And you're probably thinking, there's just no way but you know what? So I've already figured out that the way I'm currently doing things, it would be rather difficult. And I figured out that, and you'll see it down here on number 8 a little bit later. I figured out how many houses I got to sell to achieve that. Now, the problem is, and it's on number 8, so if you just want to cheat and look down real quick, if that's a sell an average of $1.5 million a month, there's 7 $200,000 houses. As many agents as there are in my market, it is unlikely that I'm going to get 7 $200,000 homes listed or sold every month for a year. So I've got to look at broadening and going out into a different market, which I've already do. I do a lot of commercial now and some residential, but they're doing some multifamily. So what I'm going to do is I got to look at, and the reality of my world is there's a lot of agents that are not really good agents. It doesn't matter what job you're in. If you're in sales at some point or another, there's a lot of people who are not really good, and there's the few people who are really good. And so I know that the average sale price of $200,000, there's not a lot of really good agents. So I'm going to go out on a limb. I told this to our office that there are a lot of agents who are in the higher price points who are also not really good. So there's a really good chance that if you start swimming in that pond, you're going to get a couple of bites out of something over there. So there's no reason to leave this pond, but you can go over to those other ponds and play a little bit and see what you can find out. And you can find out that you're better than all those other agents, or a majority of them, let's say. There's going to be work for you. It's going to come because people are going to see that you're different. And that's half the battle in any sales job, is showing somebody that you're different and you're willing to work and you're willing to go after it. So if you figure that, like on this one, I've got on 7A is to get to $18 million, the easy way is to increase the volume of each sale. How freaking hard is that? So now I know I got to go out and look for the right number. I got to go look for the big stuff. I mean, yes, I'm still going to keep the small stuff too, but I've got, that is the real answer to my problem. So I've got to figure out how are the big stuff getting sold? How are they meeting those people, and how do I get involved in that? Right. So if it's multi-million-dollar deals, I just got to figure out how to make it happen. I got to go network with the right people. That's the key. You got to network with the right people. So I need to focus on larger fish, commercial, i.e. apartments, duplexes, large rental portfolios. I'd love nothing more than to get in where I'm the guy who everybody calls when rental portfolios need to go, the entire rental portfolio. And that's what I'm going to do. So I need to continue to network with these groups, possibly even join the Kansas City Apartment Association. I need to take my drive and ambition into that market because you know what? There's not a lot of people that have drive and ambition like I do. I mean, it's pretty rare, and most people see it right when I'm in the room. So there's no reason why I shouldn't take that to another market and show them there's no reason why they shouldn't be dealing with me. So then number C, I said I've got a guy that I know. I used to sell him stuff. His name's Gary. He's got some duplexes and about $6 to $7 million deal that I'm getting in Little Pittsburgh, Kansas. And I said I will get that listing and I will sell those properties and I will get both sides of that and I'll get referrals from both sides. So that's where the $18 million, a big chunk of it came from, because if it's a $7 million deal and I get both sides, that's $14 million right off the top. Now, I did do $3 million this year, so the least I could expect is to go ahead and get another $4 million in general sales through all the other things that I did with the listings and everything else I'm going to get. So 18 million is not really that unrealistic at all. In fact, I really debated on whether I should just go ahead and push it to 20 and really try to push myself. But I understand that those duplexes is going to be a lot of work. So I've got to be very careful about how I make sure I don't put my goals so high that I never see my family, and what's the point of doing all this if I never see them? So we're going on to number 8. It's where I'm going to sell $1.5 million a month. That's $200,000 houses. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to do 6 and 7 and hold on, right? So, but that I like to have that number where it says how much I'm going to do. I mean, because it puts it into perspective, right? We got, hey, $200,000 houses. Is that realistic? Probably not, but I can go find other deals that are going to make it work. So now here's the one thing where I do a lot of visualizing. I visualize on all these individually all the time. I'm visualizing getting the contracts and doing all the other stuff, and our secretary is already worried about how many she's going to have to input, which is a great problem when the secretary is worried, like, oh my God, I've got to input all this stuff. Yes, it's going to be grand. I can't wait to have 80 different units you're going to have to punch in to MLS. It's going to be fun. But I like goals with dates on them, and this one's a big one for me. Number 9 is by June 1st, 2019, I'm gonna make $80,000 in a single month. That's $4.5 million worth of sales in 1 month. And if I was doing $200,000 houses only, that could be a problem. It's still possible. Don't get me wrong. I could do it. I mean, the other things that I have set up and how we do things, how I do things myself, it's totally feasible that I could have a $4.5 million a month, even with just regular residential housing if the market's right. So, and how am I going to do that? Again, 6 and 7, those are big. I'm just going to look up to those and say, this is how we're going to do it. I don't need to copy and paste it. I just know it's there. So number 10 is I'm going to talk to everybody I know about self-directed IRAs and 401ks and private money, right? Because I'm starting another business where I've got, actually it's an investment stuff where we take people's self-directed IRAs and 401ks and flip houses with it, and then we pay them back interest on their loans. So it's better for a lot of people than using the stock market, because the stock market, you have no guarantees. And this one, at least, if I buy a property with your money and the property's the collateral for the loan. So we do a 3-year payout typically. So I go borrow their money and then pay them off in 3 years with 10% or whatever it is, negotiated price we do, and everybody's happy. So this is, and here again, how am I going to do that? This is where Appendix A is this will be a casual conversation piece that I'll bring up to anyone who'll listen. It's simply an interesting idea that most people have never heard of, and that I can tell everyone about. So in reality, I wish I'd have known about this when I had my 401k, because I'd rolled over in a self-directed IRA and done my own flips and fixes right out of the gate, because I was paying a guy every bit of money I made in my 401k went to pay that person a substantial fee every year, and so I really didn't make anything. So it was pointless to me. I could just see that I was putting money in, and I was paying some guy who I never met, who never called me, and I couldn't get a hold of him for anything. I didn't even know his name. But yet I was giving him however much a month, and it wasn't working. These people are they're going to send me money, and then I'm going to call them and let them know how projects are going and when they're getting paid off. And so the whole point of this is I'm going to collect $1 million worth of self-directed IRA and private money and invest it in rental real estate. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to go ahead and go get a portfolio loan on all those rental properties and pay everybody off. It's a really slick system, and it's totally legal, and it kind of solves a lot of problems, because after the 08 09 collapse, banks won't loan on a property that's distressed. So you have to find another way around it. This is my way around it. So and I'm helping people in the process because I can use their money. I'm not borrowing money from anybody. It's not a loan. I am taking an investment, and we're going to go make money. That is really what it is. So number 12 is I'm going to make 5 friends a day. So no matter where I'm at, I'm going to introduce myself to everyone, have a chance to meet, just strike up a conversation about anything. And now this is key here. I want you to listen to this, because this is really the way I'm operating, and I do this every day. My goal is to not have an agenda aside from having a conversation. If it leads to more than that, fantastic. If not, it will not be a waste. I will focus on them and not me. I will focus on what they need help with or what they are looking for that I can help them find. And I will be the bridge to other success. They will reward me with friendship and business. And that is a key for me, and I love that statement. I will be the bridge to other success, because nothing makes me happier than helping people to achieve their goals, whatever they are, whether I'm involved in it or not. And really my involvement can be just, hey, I put these 2 people together and they went and did some great stuff, and it's fantastic for me. Now, number 13 is I'm going to win a free trip in the world wherever Crown Realty goes. So Crown Realty, luckily for me, $3 million. They could do a free trip somewhere. This year's Mexico. Last year was Dominican Republic. So this will be my first year I get to go on the trip. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know where in Mexico. I figured that, I'm going to wait until the end of the year and make sure I get everything figured out. And then, I got until March to worry about it. So, but that is still a goal. So I got to get to 3 million. If I get it in the first month, I'm okay with that. So and I've got my personal goals on here because, like I said earlier, they are intertwined. So I'm going to buy 5 cash flowing rental properties in 2019. And notice that doesn't say individual homes. That is 5 cash flowing rental properties. That could be multiplexes or whatever. I'm going to buy 5 of them by the end of the year. And so I personally have got a goal to get most of them bought by the end of May. I think that's going to be when I'm going to find a lot of deals, but it depends on too how we're doing with the fix and flip and all that, because it may take a little bit more time depending on how bad the property is, the shape they're in. Still, a minimum of 5 is the goal. So I'm going to make a minimum of $250,000 in 2019. I'm really going to push hard for $350,000 though, and not unattainable at all. In fact, with all the other things I'm doing, that's just on real estate. I figured everything else from that point is gravy on all my other businesses, because to me, real estate's extremely easy because everybody needs it. I market it very well, and it makes it very easy for me to turn a property into a profit for the owner and myself. So here again, I'm going to hire an assistant. I'm really excited about that assistant. That's number 3 on my personal because I got stuff for an assistant to do, so I might as well, right? So number 4 for me is spend more time with my family. And you're looking at this goal list thinking, how in the heck are you going to spend more time with your family? Well, so part of the thing for me with my Miracle Morning and the meditation and everything has really helped me focus my energies on what they need to be done and really focus on getting things done quickly and efficiently, and not wasting a lot of time trying to stay off Facebook, because anytime I get on there, you guys know how it is, you get on there and you're like, man, all of a sudden you get sucked in, you're scrolling and half an hour's gone. Well, we're just, you know what? I try to stay off Facebook until I get in here in the morning, and then I'm only looking at Facebook, going, okay, who are my friends that I'm going to talk to today? Where I look through my Rolodex to find out who I'm going to call, and then I try to stay off of it until at least 10:30, so I can take a little break and go look and see what everybody's doing. But it's very easy to get out of control on that. Next thing you know, the day's gone. So just be cautious of that. So I'm going to continue, folks, like number 5 here. So it says it right here: continue to focus my efforts on maximizing my time, the miracle morning. So this is keys. I'm getting up, I meditate, I do all these things, I'm reading, and here's the thing. One thing the miracle mornings taught me is that you have to create a new habit, and your habit can be creating the things that are going to make you successful. I was already successful before, but now I'm going to be really successful because I'm taking what time I was wasting and I'm maximizing that time. So now I'm actually getting return on that investment on my time. So I'm going to sell the current house my family and I live in. And now here's the funny thing on my personal goals. I have to clean the basement and the garage because, if you come by, look, it's a pigsty. And that's my fault. So I've got to put on my goals to get that done. So here again on my vision board, guess what I'm writing on there? We're getting this done because the house has to be listed by the last week in February. In fact, I'm probably going to put reminders on my calendar to say, you got to clean the garage, you got to clean the basement on these weekends and get the house ready, because by the end of February, that baby's got to go on the market. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done to get that ready. So scheduling it is a key. So I got to find us a new house. That's the other problem. We don't even know where we're moving to. I know it's got to be in Gardner somewhere because I'm going to maintain my seat on the city council. So I've got to find a house in Gardner. So it's got to be a ranch. There's got to be, certain requirements for everybody to agree on it. But so number 8, I'm going to talk to everybody about self-directed IRAs, 401ks, and private money. So that's, again, same goal as the business one, but I want to make sure it's on here on the private one because that is a fun thing to talk about because so few people know about it. So here again, number 9, I'm going to collect $1 million of self-directed IRA and 401k and private money to invest in buying and rehabbing rental properties. So I'm going to sell my Cover 6 Gear. I own that company. I'm going to find a buyer for that and make somebody really happy because I just don't have time for it, to be honest with you. It's I've got, with everything's already kind of pre-automated, and I did it for 6 years traveling around the country, and I love the company, but it's always tough to have too many things on my plate, and it's going to get worse. So anyway, I'm going to get my weight down to 200 pounds. I'm down to, I was at 260. I think now I'm at 230 the other day. So I got to lose 30 more pounds. But here again, I've got it on there. And the achievement part of that is eating right, doing the right things, and staying away from candy, which is, I'm shocked I'm still at 230 after the holidays. So I'm going to run and win re-election for Gardner City Council, and that starts next year in 2019. So I've been on the council for 3 years. I think it's been good because I come at everything with a business mindset, with the financial side of it and the taxpayers' money, because what's funny about me is I actually know how hard it is to generate that dollar. I know how hard it is to keep that dollar. And so when you start looking at all these numbers and they're flying by and it just seems like a big number, I want to make sure we're getting our money's worth. So, and I think that citizens appreciate that. So number 13 is a big personal one for me. I'm going to read more. I'm going to read twice a day. I didn't put it on here because I've already just got it in my mind. And I'm reading twice a day for 30 minutes each time. So once in the morning and once in the evening before I go to bed, I'm going to read 30 minutes a day, no matter what. So that is, how I'm going to schedule in, and it's a nice little break before I go to bed. So I'm gonna finish this up here. We got just a few things left. So this is the other thing, is I put these in my goals so I know what I'm going to try and what I'm going to do. And then next year I'm going to look at this throughout the year. This is on my vision board, by the way, all spelled out, 4x8 sheet of whiteboard. And I go through here, and if it doesn't work, I get rid of it. So the marketing, target Facebook marketing, specific groups or areas, all open houses targeted in that market 1 week before an open house. Basically what I do is I create a video right in front of the house saying, hey, we're having an open house. And then I promote that in a 2-mile radius of that house saying, hey, we're having an open house this weekend. Very simple. It's very effective though. because it does bring in a lot of people. And I'm going to get down here and I'll show you kind of some other stuff. We'll go into the open house stuff down here, and I'll just wait to share more of that with you. So I'm going to start my Kansas City Networking Connection. And that is, it's a live stream event that will be held weekly for me and associates and potential customers. What this is basically a Q&A podcast kind of thing where I will go and ask questions of several of the different people that I know. And basically it's a way for me to showcase the people who really do a great job for me. This is not me promoting myself. This is me promoting other people through the media that I know how to do. And what it is like, we're going to do painters, other realtors, lawyers, and basically it's going to be a Q&A interview system where if I have a client who needs something, right, I hate to refer just one person, but, it basically is going to be broken down by, hey, look, here, you can go on this Kansas City Network Connection. All the videos are there. You can go out and look up lawyers, and you can look up painters, and you can look up, and you can watch the interview of the people who are going to do the work. If there's 3 or 10 or however many it ends up being, you can watch those. And then you basically, by watching this, pick out who you think is going to work out best for you. What are 2 or 3 of them you can call? And the thing is if they're on there, I know they're really good people, right? I'm not going to put anybody on there I don't know or trust. So it just makes it easy for my clients whenever. So the goal for me is to get away from 10,000 people are calling me going, hey, who's the best painter? I can say, you know what, go on the Kansas City Networking Connection, and you can just look up who's a painter. Now, these people don't pay to get on here. They're really just, people that I know and trust. And that's how you're going to get on there. But I think it's going to be a fun thing, and it's going to help a lot of people out. And not only my clients, but, my friends, who are great people who do great work for other people. So anyway, now, one of the things I did, and you'll see on here number 2, is I put 3 to 4 hours a week. That is how many hours a week I think I'm going to spend on that task. And that's a pretty fair guesstimate, because for a 1-hour show, you're going to have that much time in it, trust me. And I like to put these on here, and you'll see that down there. And I go through, if you add up all the hours on here, it's about 36 hours. So if you think about that for a second, I've got 36 hours worth of stuff that I'm going to do. I obviously can't squeeze that into a whole week and do all the other cold calls and everything else. So I have to really look at this and decide what I'm going to do that's going to work, and I might mix it up one week and do something different. But here again, I've got to be realistic in what I'm doing and what's going to do the best for me. And that's why I go ahead, and even if it's something I end up not doing, I'm putting it on here, because it may not be working now, but it might be working 6 months from now. And you never want to lose that opportunity and think, what was that I had on there? I don't remember. So this is a fun one for me, open houses. I love open houses as an agent. I think it's a great way to meet new clients and show my clients how much I appreciate them, because nothing says, hey, look, I really appreciate everything you've done for me, but like, get out of your house for 3 hours twice on the weekend. Because when I go and do a listing, we do... I will commit to you that me or someone else, because it depends on how many listings I have, we're going to have open houses the first 3 weekends, both Saturday and Sunday, from 1 to 4, without fail. And so that's what basically is in here. I'm going to put out signs saying, hey, we're having open houses. I'm going to talk to the people. This is another thing I see a lot of agents, they don't do. I go out when I have a listing and we're going to do an open house. I go out and knock on the door of a house where there's a sign I put in the right of way, right? I explain the right of way to them. I say, hey, look, let me tell you how this works, just in case you don't know. This is actually city property. I know you maintain it, but I'd like to put this sign out there. And here's the thing. Here's my card. And if you know somebody who's looking to buy a house, this is your chance to pick your neighbor. And, oh, well, thank you so much for letting us know. And also, if there's a problem with the sign, call me, because I'll either come out or I'll have somebody come out and fix it for you. So thank you so much. It gives me another opportunity to talk to somebody about what I can do for them. And it's a very subtle way, but it's very effective. So, and then it says in there exactly at the end what I'm going to say to them. I will ask them if they know anyone I can provide excellent service to, just like their neighbors. And then I'll have extra homeowner literature. So So that's one of those fun things that I do, and no other agent does that around here anyway, and it really separates me from the crowd. So door hangers. Now this is the fun thing. I love door hangers, and what I do different is I will go out and we print them out here. I have a default template. I put in pictures and the contact information and everything, and if you want, I can put one of them in the. I'll put a Google link up or Google. A link to my Google Drive with all this information in it. But I make these on cardstock. We print them out, cut them in half, and send them out. So it's a half sheet of paper. But I either roll them up, put them in the door jamb, or put them between the doorknob, or somewhere on the property. I don't use the plastic usually. And what I do is before, and this is something I commit to my people too. So I commit to them that before every open house, maybe 5 days before, at least 4 days, I will put out over 200 flyers in the neighborhood on the doors, letting everybody know about the open house. Right? So think about that. I had this summer was crazy because I had 3 listings land all at the same time, and I had to put out 600 flyers by Tuesday by myself because the kids were in school. It was like September. So the kids are in school, and I'm walking these neighborhoods putting out flyers for that specific property. And there was 2 in Gardner and 1 in Olathe, and that was a major chore. But let me tell you what, I was getting my steps in, and it really says a lot to not only my clients but the people who are around them who are potentially going to sell their house one day. Because that flyer, it comes in, it has the picture, it says open house. And so again, we're doing 3 weekends in a row. So there was 3 weekends in a row that I had 600 flyers going out. So I had, as I walk around and put these on the doors, the flyer, it says, hey, open house and all that on the front, picture and the dates and times. And I do it every week. So it's not like I put on there, hey, we're doing it this weekend and this weekend and this weekend. It is this coming weekend on this date at this time, we're having an open house. But anyway, it on the back it says, I'm going to kind of give you the brief version, but it basically says, you might think you're getting this by mistake, but let me tell you, this is your chance to pick your neighbor. And we're having an open house this weekend, and you can come down, bring your friends, tell your friends and family, because you never know who you might get. So this is your chance to pick the right people. And then I have a description that's right off the MLS. I have the MLS number. I have all my contact information, Facebook and YouTube, and my email address, my phone number, and everything else. And you would not believe how well that works, because I actually had a guy come up to me at one of the things, and he says, he had this flyer in his hand, and he kind of looked mad, and he was like, I got this flyer on my door, and I was really mad at you because I thought, hey, I already own my house. Why are you dropping stuff off like this anyway? And then he goes, I looked at the back, and it said, this is your chance to pick your neighbor. And he was like, that was just brilliant. I had to come by and tell you that was great, and I loved it, and I don't have anybody that needs a house right now, but I appreciate, and I'll keep your card. That way, if I need something later on, I can call you. So, people do notice that kind of stuff. I know a lot of people, it just goes in the trash and whatever, but if I'm telling my clients too, if I'm your client and I'm saying, hey, I'm putting 200 flyers out, that's a pretty big deal, because nobody else is walking out doing that. A lot of people do them by the mail. I don't particularly like the mail myself personally, and it's just because of me, I guess, but we don't get our mail. The mailman comes and knocks on my door and says, hey, it's full. Can you come get it cleaned out? Well, by then we've missed all that stuff, because we don't get anything in there that's important. All our bills are taken care of online, which is just basically junk mail. So the door hangers even get to somebody like me. And so anyway, and then I do get a random call every now and then. I had one, I will call her a nice lady, call me about, she had a no soliciting sign, and I said, no, I'm sorry about that. And can you give me your address, and I'll make sure you don't get one next week. And she wouldn't give me her address. And I said, well, you're probably going to get one. Just be prepared. So the only time we don't do those is if it's raining. I don't like to put out the stuff in the rain, because even in a baggie, it's going to get wet. So we just don't do it. But it's still a great tool, and I highly recommend you look into it yourself. So, but that is 3 hours a week, and I'll be honest with you, Depending on if you have the flyers already made up or not, that could take a little bit longer. So now, HR departments, that's one place I'm going to start hitting. I'm going to start doing some stuff. I'm actually going to do some other video stuff where I record a video, post it on YouTube, and then send them a private link so I can see if they actually watched it. So I think I can do a couple of those a week and just hit people, and then if they're interested, I can schedule a meeting with them. Instead of me driving out there, I'm going to do my initial hello, probably without the microphone, so they can see who I am and what I'm all about. I'm going to try it. We're going to see what happens, because here's the thing. If I can do that in 3 hours and I can interview it and I can send it off to, I don't know, 8 or 10 people, does that get me my 10 people a day? You bet. Are they going to buy anything or do anything? I don't know, but it's 8 or 10 people a day. That's the number. Got to achieve that number. So however I get it done, whether it's in person on the phone or through video, we got to get it done. So drop off information to police and fire department chiefs. Let them know that, you know, I have other people to introduce me, people I know in my personal life, my professional life, that they can make a personal introduction on my behalf. And then, of course, we got the same thing. I'm going to do the introduction video, same deal. I'm going to send it out to people ahead of time and say, hey, look, this is me, and is there time we can meet up and talk? And because, let's be honest, seeing somebody in person versus on the phone, and I mean, if you're getting 10 calls a day from other agents and then all of a sudden you get this random email from somebody, it's a video, it's a little bit more impressive, I think, than a random phone call. So you never know, too, because I do a lot of video stuff around my little hometown, and I get recognized all over. So you just never know where that person might just be walking by you at the Walmart. You've never seen that person before, but they turn out to go, hey, you're that guy that keeps sending me videos. And I go, hey, who are you? And you just never know. So anyway, headhunters. I'm going to do the same thing with headhunters. I'm going to go ahead and say, hey, look, how can I get in front of headhunters and find out who they need, whether they got people moving out or moving in. Somebody's going to need an agent on one end of that or the other. So I'm going to reach out to them and do the same thing. Right. So, and then I'm going to do a fun thing with some of my other friends. So I've got Kristen with Central National Bank. I've got some other people. We're going to put together a big kind of a group package thing with some business cards and flyers. And we're going to take our kids out this spring when it gets nice, and we're going to start putting door hangers out in the evenings. And we're just going to run around and have a nice evening and just make it a kind of a fun time. We're going to put out door hangers and just see what happens. We're going to paper a neighborhood, and we're going to paper a couple of them and see if we can just scare up any business that way. And it'll be a good way to get ourselves energized and keep fit and have fun trying to build a business. And then the other thing is, when we're out and it's 6 o'clock on a, think about it. I mean, it's a 6 o'clock on a, say it's April, and it's a beautiful night out. My problem is I'm probably not going to get further than the first house, and it's going to really stink because we're going to stop and somebody's going to talk, and we're just going to talk. And I like to talk, and I like to have other people tell me about things, and I start asking questions. The next thing you know, it's 8:30. They're going inside, and I haven't got anything handed out. So it happens a lot. My wife won't go on walks with me anymore because of that. So anyway, this doesn't include all the marketing things that I currently do. So I do this Mid-America Real Estate Investors. I go to the meetings every month. I go to Kansas City multifamily investing meetups and the Bridge Real Estate Investing meetup. So I do all those things on top of all the other things that you're seeing, plus random phone calls and networking events and whatever I can throughout the year to make sure that I get, not to mention, what we're doing right here, to try to drive my goals to make it where I'm going to be successful. So that is half of, really how you're going to do it. You've got to have these things in place, because otherwise, if I put a goal out there, if I just said 18 million next year and I didn't have a way to do it, do you really think I'd do it? I wouldn't. I'd be like, man, I'm going to do 18 million, and how am I going to do that, Rich? I'm just going to go sell stuff. Right. But here's the thing. You just listened, I hope, or watched some of this stuff I'm talking about here. You just ask yourself, do you really think I have a chance of, clearing that 18 million? I bet most of you would think I do. If you had another person talking to you that just said, oh yeah, I'm just going to go sell 18 million, there's probably less of a chance of you believing that they're going to do it. So here's the other thing. This is a great thing for me too, because I use this as a gauge for me to know where I'm at in my goals. And being able to tell you this, people are going to ask me all year long, hey, how are your goals going? And I'm going to say, well, look, I'm doing this and this and this. And I can track how it's working for me and what's working and what's not. And then, you know, maybe I'm an inspiration for somebody else to get their goals going, because you can do these same type of goal things, whether it's weight loss or whatever. If you want to change your life, change your attitude, you can set up goals to change your attitude. And maybe we need to do a video about that, because I'm really big on, you know, if you can think it, you can do it. But you got to have the attitude and you got to have the drive to get it done. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching this. I know it kind of went long, man. It's an hour and 20 minutes or something. But I really do appreciate you guys staying in. If you've watched through the whole thing, congratulations. You deserve a merit badge or something. But if you do have any questions, feel free to comment down below or send me a message somehow. If you need any specific help with your goals, you know, let me know, because I think we're getting into, you know, the end of 2018 here in 2019. I think goals are going to be important for a lot of people. And I think that the best thing is to have goals that are achievable, but have a very high threshold where you're going to have to work and achieve them, and that you can actually follow through on and know that you're going to get it done. Because nothing's more exciting than doing these goals. You're going to start seeing it. You're going to start seeing how this all comes together, and it's super exciting when you start landing all these things. You're like, man, I'm doing this, and it's just so exciting when you're like, God, I can't believe I got another one. Things are happening, and it's all because you're following the playbook. You cannot a goal without a plan is just a dream, and that's so true, because this is my roadmap. This is no different than if I went saying, hey, how am I going to get from Gardner to San Francisco? There's a map and it's laid out. This is my map. This is how I'm going to get there. So anyway, once again, I appreciate everything you guys are doing for me, and please like, share, subscribe, click the whatever, and make sure that you get the notifications the next time I have another Ugly Agent podcast come out, and let your friends know about it. So anyway, thanks so much for tuning in, guys, and don't forget, I'm here to serve you. So thanks so much.